Listen, anytime, any place, anywhere, I'll fight you in your back garden like a dumb Klitschko.
I want to unify. Is he up for the challenge? Like I said, I declare war. You know, this is not a battle, this is war because I was born in this.
Why am I sitting here like a spare dick in a way? While you are sitting in your mum's spare rooms, just tickling your bollocks.
Come and see me, baby. No more hiding, no more ducking, no more dodging, no more excuses. Let's make the fight happen. Let's see who's the best. I know I'm the best. Are you up for the test?
I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview. What are you talking about? You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
Negative. I'm good. I beat Polly. I left with his belt and his girl.
Fucking was too fast. But it wasn't so much about it, was just that he was so fucking fast. Fast.
Amazingly fast.
Fucking amazingly fast. I was like, I thought Freddie was in there fucking hitting me too. So.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, obviously podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I am Matt, the hipster hunter. Going to be talking all things boxing, Spence, Porter, full card breakdown and review. Also talking, obviously, Spence, Garcia, Danny Garcia news, what that means for Manny Pacquiao and Mikey Garcia. Manny Pacquiao's been on the media talking about a Amir Khan fight. A lot to address in the sort of PBC welterweight picture. Plus, Dubois fought this weekend as well against Ebenezer Teta or whatever his name was. So we're going to talk about that fight, I guess, because we have to, because Dubois is one of the best prospects in the game, but he fought no one. And plus some other sort of tidbits in the news cycle out there. And of course, I'm joined on these lovely shows by the one and only, the illustrious, the notorious Mr. Robbie Hearn, second cousin, twice removed of Sir Eddie. Rob, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Great fight last night. Really enjoyed it, but we'll get into it and the fallout, from that fight. But yeah, really enjoyed it. It's probably, in my eyes, fight of the year and main event of any card sort of this year, especially stateside.
Oh, let's just jump into that then. Fight of the year. It's there for you? Like, you think it's fight of the year? Like,
I think so. I know you done like a list earlier. You're trying to piece it together, like who. And,
I'm trying to think about other fights. Yeah.
And I saw others. I saw someone say, "Oh, this might scrape into my top 10 or something." I'm like, get out of here. It was easily in your top 3. But I really enjoyed it. It was a great fight, and let's talk about the fight if you want or whatever. But
I definitely think that this is going to be up there for fight of the year consideration when we get to December and January time, right? I mean, Herb Williams, TJ Doheny versus Daniel Roman, Katie Taylor, Defon Pursoon, AJ Ruiz. I mean, these are all fights, Sergey Lipinets, Lamont Peterson. These are all fights are probably in the short list, but it seems, and also Pacquiao Thurman, I think, needs to be in the discussion as well. This does seem like a lot of people's choice at this point in time for fight of the year, but we're only 24 hours after the fight, guys. I think.
Yeah, it's fresh in the mind. I think Lipinets and Peterson has gone sort of
under the radar, man.
Under the radar, sort of slash back of the memory banks and things like that. So this is just fresh, but we'll have to do like a show at the end of the year,
absolutely,
and sort of have him watch those fights over again and sort of really make our picks. But no, last night was that was legit. I really enjoyed it.
Let's get into the X's and O's of the fight itself. Errol Spence defeating Sean Porter via split decision in a real back and forth, gutsy performance from both guys. I mean, the boxing on display, I think, was extremely high level from both men. On top of that, just the aggression and grit on the inside. It was such a interesting dynamic from an aesthetic from watching it, right? Because there's times, I was saying this on the live chat, that these two men would clash on the inside and explode with combinations. and then exit out with beautiful exits, with beautiful footwork, head movement. And it was just an amazing fight. Like, I was really in awe of it. I'm not going to get into my individual scorecard. I scored it for Errol Spence, 115-112. I thought Spence obviously won the fight, but with the knockdown at the end, clearly cinched it up in the 11th round. I think without that and that momentum shift for also the 12th round, I don't know if Errol Spence comes away with winning those 2 rounds and wins this fight. But credit to him, he got that amazing left hook in the 11th round, dropped him, and that, I mean,
barely though. What a chin! He was like out and awake again, and just barely put a glove down.
Because if you isolate that one replay highlight of like the slow mo where it's like from the left side of Porter, and you see Porter's chin go that way, and let's say you just stop the footage right there as he's like his body is sort of dropping, and you don't see him bounce back up, and you just show that to people, they would assume he's done.
Yeah, you do, right. What happened next? Like what happened next? Freeze frame that, right. What happened next? Draw what you think happens next. People will be drawing people laid out with Zeds coming up.
No, Porter barely touched his glove to the mat, bounced up, got that 10 count, and was on Spence.
And then pounded his chest and said, "Let's go. Let's do it."
Wow.
Let's go. I was like, I was like, like hairs on my arms. I was like, wow, that was just insane. And for me, that was literally the difference, because I had Spence by 1 round.
Yeah,
that's how close how I scored it. I've watched it twice today, and my scoring hasn't changed. I can understand.
Yes, I can.
For me, if either guy was given the decision or a draw, I couldn't argue against it. But I've got to take issue with 116, 111.
Absolutely.
I think that's really poor. There's
no way one of those guys only won 4 rounds.
No, that was, and even 115, 113 to Porter, I think is a bit wide. Like I say, I've got it around to Spence, but
we have a poll out on our community tab on our YouTube page. Go vote on who you thought won the fight. Right now, it's a clear majority that pick Errol Spence, or that they thought he won it. But there clearly is like 20 to 25% of people think that it was either a draw or Porter won. So I can see why they think that. And plus, if you're of the mindset that like Porter's aggression and his volume, like you just like that, and that's your thing, you're gonna give him a lot of these swing rounds, and that might swing your scorecards. But digressing from the scorecard topic, I think that just, who cares? Like, this is such a great fight, and honestly, I think Porter's one of those guys, like, he's okay taking an L. And I think we're okay with him taking the L because we still love Porter. And on top of it, finally, for God's sake, some of you guys that have been hating this guy, that have discredited Sean Porter for so long, are seemingly giving him credit now. That he made the Terminator-like Errol Spence human. He made him look like the rest of the pack at the top. And that, I think finally there is that section of fandom that really doesn't like Sean Porter's style, think he's ugly, think he's just a footballer who now puts on boxing gloves, like that stupid narrative. They're now coming around a little bit.
He looked more than, as Spence called him, a street fighter, an in-shape street fighter. He looked better than that. Or what was it? A guy drowning that doesn't know how to swim.
Yo, Spence was brutal in the build-up to this fight.
Yeah. But no, for me, a few surprising things was how Porter was able to turn Spence with relative ease.
Every time.
With ease. And not just with clever exits, but almost like manhandle him.
So I was
impressed.
When I went back and watched this fight today, I specifically wanted to pay attention to the audio of the corner and sort of the coaching on that. And after the first round, Ken is on Sean's ass. When you turn him, you need to explode. You need to throw a combination. Every time you turn him, you need to explode. And you need to turn him. You need to keep turning him. He can't keep up with you. You're too fast. And Ken was just drilling that each sort of rest period for the first sort of segment of the fight. And that was just drilled into Porter. And honestly, I think one factor I think I failed to mention on the live fight chat was the speed factor, or the disparity. Sean Porter was clearly the faster guy.
Yeah.
And significantly so. And I'm just amazed at his ability to be such a great athlete, and again the boxing ability, because his timing to duck under that left hand and roll out, and then like you say, all on top of that, the athleticism to manhandle Spence, a guy bigger than you, to the ropes, and then throw combinations on top of that, and to do it consistently for 12 rounds.
Yeah, he is conditioned to like hell and back. He is unbelievable. But for me, it was like that. I don't know. Like Porter's not the most accurate of guys, but then I've got to give him, as much as the aggression sometimes wasn't effective, it kind of was in a
absolutely
kind of effective aggression, because he was just like a fucking Tasmanian devil, it just would explode. And it is effective aggression because it kind of kept Porter Spence in check, kind of thing at times. But it was also kind of watching through fingers, because you just felt at some point, being so sort of wide and looking for the big like bolo punches and crazy like just aggression, he was going to catch one. And
on top of that, Spence's accuracy is one of his best traits. His ability to time and select a shot that's the perfect shot and then land that shot accurately is a really extreme talent of his. And like you said, I was watching through, my eyes going, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen eventually. Yeah, and it did, and it happened at the worst time possibly.
It was the momentum shift that I think,
because Porter was on that run where he was winning almost like every round after round like 7 or so. Like you can give honestly round 7 to like 10 or like round 6 to 10 all to Porter.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden round 11 happened and it changed the fight.
And he was winning that one as well.
He was.
And then bang.
You can argue even after the knockdown, he was winning that round.
I'm telling you, when he pounded his chest and was like, "Let's go," I'm like, "Fucking, this guy's a G." Sean Porter, I think, despite a loss, his stock has risen dramatically.
And on top of that, I'm not surprised because both these guys are super classy. But the way they greeted each other after the fight, and like just it was cool. Like it was nice.
Yeah. But maybe not so much in the post-fight press conference.
I didn't see that.
Oh.
What I missed?
Sean started saying like, but let's not forget who sold this pay-per-view. And then Errol was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" It got real.
No way.
Like, yeah.
Yo, and Sean said that.
Yeah. And then Spence was like, "Well, guess what? My next fight will be pay-per-view. Your fight won't be."
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
I want smoke.
Ooh. Yeah, I thought you would have seen that, but
nah, you know me, I don't watch press conferences, man.
I was like, oh, what a shame, because it was like they went to war, they were real cool with each other, and one comment in the presser, and it all went fucking crazy. But back to the fight.
I can't believe it's that comment that Porter's like, yeah, we all know who sold the pay-per-view. Everyone's like, wait, yeah, the other guy, not you.
Yeah. Wow, I don't think they particularly sold it great between them, but we'll see. Obviously, I hope this is done fucking 6 million fucking pay-per-view.
No, but I think it clearly is done.
It deserved to be seen by a more than that's. Will have seen it.
I think it clearly did a decent number because their metrics going into the pay-per-view were saying, hey, we can roll the dice on a Errol Spence, Danny Garcia pay-per-view in January. And, that's just... And per Mike Coppinger, just to add to that again, in January 25th, PBC on Fox pay-per-view is the penciled
week after
date.
The Super Bowl, right?
No, week before.
Oh, the week before the Super Bowl.
Week before, yes, which is better, honestly. The week after, all the coverage would be kind of over, in a sense.
I thought it was going to get all the build-up from the Super Bowl. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, because Super Bowl's the week after. There's a few week period before the Super Bowl actually starts, and the last playoff game, and that's all build up for the Super Bowl. So they're gonna be right in the middle of that build up, which is a good thing. But digressing from that, it is clearly, I want to make this point really clear and crystal clear. I made it last night, but apparently I need to make it again because I see a lot of people playing publicists online. Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia is a good fight. It's 2 top 6 guys in the welterweight division. No one is disputing that, to be honest. Like, no one is disputing that Danny Garcia is not deserving, air quotes, of a Errol Spence fight. He's a top 6 guy, former champion. Like, he has the prerequisites, right, to fight a Errol Spence. However, while it's a good fight, I think most of us rather have better fights or the best fights possible. Or the best fight possible. And a better fight would be Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao. Why isn't Fox throwing the bag at Manny for that fight? Honestly. Like, why don't you put Manny Pacquiao or Errol Spence on this date and have it get all of the benefit of the Super Bowl? Why not?
It would be huge.
Massive. I think Errol Spence, I'll be honest, I don't... My pay-per-view prediction's going a little bit higher after this fight. It just seemed like it was trending in the right direction on fight day, and that's a good sign. But digressing from that, Errol Spence is a growing star. Manny Pacquiao is a star. This would do near 1 million buys. And on top of that, with the Super Bowl coverage around it,
especially if the Cowboys get there.
God.
Cowboys make it to the Super Bowl.
They don't even need to. That's the funny part. But if they do, wow.
No, just added bonus.
Absolutely right. But on top of that, why don't we get the best fight, which is Spence Crawford in the division?
Max, stop.
But no, honestly, like, why don't? Like, both guys, like, as far as we know, Crawford versus Kyle Velasquez is not signed, still delivered. Okay. Right?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's
yeah.
ever been officially confirmed.
Okay.
But.
Manny Pacquiao has no fight lined up. He's touring the world right now with his basketball team, living the life. Okay, I think you can probably schedule him in for January. Wouldn't be an issue. Why aren't we getting those fights that are bigger money fights? So, like, the money topic can't be a point anymore because those 2 fights make more money. On top of it, they're better fights. Why? And one of them's in-house. Like that. Like, I was honestly getting ready to have the debate of, like, Spence versus Pacquiao compared to Spence versus Crawford. Which fight's better? Right? And the PBC crowd defending Spence Pacquiao and a lot of other people defending Spence Crawford, right? But no, we don't even get that argument. We get Spence versus Danny Garcia. The guy that just lost to... He didn't just lose, but he lost recently to Sean Porter. The guy that just lost to Errol Spence. Like, it's a fight that does really nothing for Spence's brand and legacy at this point in time. I think Danny Garcia needs a win or 2 more against top guys like a Sean Porter rematch, a Keith Thurman rematch, Manny Pacquiao fight. He needs to beat one of those guys to then make a win versus him legacy adding in a way. He's a great name to add to the ledger, but he's not legacy changing in the way a Pacquiao win is or a Crawford win is for Spence. And it feels like we're just prolonging that fight. And on top of it, with the comments from Errol Spence about how much weight he had to cut for camp, 25 plus pounds. He has no strength and conditioning trainer, and that he needs to change that. And a lot of the fights before today or before yesterday were fights mentioned for him in the future were fights at 154. Whereas him moving up much sooner than expected. Why are we risking these great fights like Spence Pacquiao or Spence Crawford with a Spence Danny Garcia fight? Not really risking it, but wasting time, precious time of these guys' finite, short shelf life careers. I don't understand it at all.
No, and regarding Pacquiao, he clearly doesn't want Errol next. That's why the bag isn't being. I think Pacquiao, he didn't put him in a poll after the was it the Broner fight? Mm-hmm. Every name except Errol was in there. Nothing sort of said after he was ringside for the Mikey fight. Didn't really seem too keen after watching that one either. But so it looks like it's going to be Mikey Garcia. But for me, Sean Porter has leapfrogged Mikey. If you're going to fight someone who's off a loss, I think Porter's more deserving of his loss to Spence than Mikey Garcia is.
We'll get to the Manny Pacquiao fight next. More keep it because there's more information about that. I don't think I sent it in the one-on-one chat, which I want to get to. I'm sorry, Rob. Okay, I did last-minute production on the show. I apologize. But separate the Spence Pacquiao, Spence Crawford, and then Spence Danny Garcia discussion from what is Manny Pacquiao doing next. Can we separate those for a second? Sorry.
We can. I didn't know you'd done all this extra shit.
I'm sorry. I did. I didn't tell you. I apologize.
But yeah, like kind of like you said, Spence Danny Garcia isn't a terrible fight.
No, it's a good fight.
People's reaction is coming off of this isn't the fight we want. That's
and on top of that, it's pay-per-view again. $75.
Of course it is. There was a piece, I can't remember where it was, but the Fox executive, whatever his name is.
Yes.
From Fox said you're gonna get 2 Fox pay-per-views in the early first quarter next in 2020. So that looks like that's obviously Errol and Danny and Wilder and Fury, I would guess is those 2 that have been targeted.
2 big ones too. I mean, those are 2.
Oh, for sure, yeah. But yeah, I think Errol and Pacquiao would do unbelievable numbers. And I think all the powers that be would really push that one, especially like with the if it was with this Super Bowl, near to the Super Bowl and everything, like all the power that they could put in behind that, it would do absolutely crazy numbers. But like I said, I don't think Pacquiao's in the mood for that kind of fight at the moment. So Terence Crawford, I don't know. I sent you a link. I think Lance Pugmire reported they're going to see what Wilder Fury do regarding.
It does seem like that's a test run.
The joint pay-per-view and take a view of Spence versus Crawford in early 2021. So don't expect the remaining darker hairs on my face to be dark any longer. They'll be white. I'll be full on Santa Claus by then. That's a long time to wait for such a great fight. That's possibly Terence Crawford exiting his prime years, So.
92 Aku in the chat is saying we're just being realistic, but is at ESPN and out till next year. And on top of that, I'm just adding to it. Pacquiao clearly doesn't want to fight Errol Spence. Best up is Danny. I understand that argument, which is, like I said, it's a good fight. It's again 2 top 6 welterweights. Like, it's not a bad fight at all. It's a good fight. It's a really good fight. But it's a fight that is not needed at this time, honestly. And it's clearly not the fight that I think is going to be determining who is the best guy in the division. And right now, I want to see who is the best guy in the division. We have 3 guys at the top right now. Thurman. No, sorry, it's not Thurman. Whoa. Pacquiao.
One time.
One time.
Gary, press 1. You'll be in the queue.
Pacquiao, Spence, and Crawford. And until those 3 guys fight each other, we're not going to get a finality and a true hierarchy with the division, honestly speaking. But moving on.
I just want to say, take the opportunity to just say poor Ugas. He looks like he's being overlooked in the WBC rankings. He's above Danny Garcia. Shame, man. Shame.
Not surprising there. Moving on to the rest of the card, David Benavidez defeating Anthony Durrell via KO in the 9th round. Thoughts on this fight, Rob? Obviously, I talked about it last night. I want to get sort of your thoughts on it because I haven't heard your thoughts on this fight. David Benavidez's performance, was it impressive enough in your mind?
It was all right. I'm not blown away. He left me a little bit flat. Don't get me wrong. He walks to, he was stalking Durrell like some fucking Friday the 13th horror movie type. It was a bit scary, and he took some shots and kind of just laughed them off and kept coming. That was a little bit scary, but I think his technique and everything is, I don't know. The more I watch of this guy, the less impressed I am with him, to be honest. I think he stands square on. I think he gets very, just stands virtually bolt upright. I don't know. I just saw holes. Callum Smith greater than David Benavidez.
It's okay.
No,
Caleb Plant's better than them all.
But seriously, no. I just wasn't that. I just sort of saw things this time. That's all.
I understand completely. I also want to add, because we had someone comment in one of our videos from last night saying like, "Who has Caleb Plant beat?" I was like, you know what? Let's look at the top guys in the division. Who have they really beat? It's not really definitive in terms of like who has the best resume. Right now, who has the best names on the resume is honestly at the top at 168 is Billy Joe Saunders because he beat a bunch of good guys at 160. But that doesn't really count at 168 in theory, right? Top level guy right there. But
would you say Smith with Groves, even though it might be a slightly older Groves?
I think Smith has the better name. Like the more, or at least the more notable name in George Groves.
Yeah,
but then we have like Caleb Plant defeating Uzgatsky at that point. That was a great Uzgatsky. And David Benavidez, looking through his resume, this is his best win. I don't think we really recognize that. His last notable name is Porky Medina, guys, and then like Dennis Douglin years ago. Like that's a
rematch, Gavril.
Oh yeah, the Gavril fights, but I don't. That's not a notable fight in my opinion.
Should be having a rematch at that age, right?
No, that's like. Oh, I'm gonna make this comparison, and it makes me sad. I'm making this comparison, but it reminds me of Kell Brook versus Carson Jones too. And I was like, hey, red flags here, guys. Like this is, if he's that good, he should be not doing this. This shouldn't be an issue. But digressing from that. A lot of these guys have not had a real run yet in the division, meaning Smith, Plant, or Benavidez. Billy Joe Saunders had a great run at 160. He has yet to really fight at 168 yet, so we do not know at this point in time what he really is in this division. But those three young guys, they are, in my opinion, super young, have a lot to prove, and I don't think any of them have a claim to the top guy in the division. And that's probably why there is such a disparity in fans and people talking about, like, is it Plant, Benavidez, Smith? You get a lot of that chatter and kind of little chatter because no one has a real claim to the top guy in the division yet, to be quite honest.
No. This is going to seem very UK biased, but for me, Callum Smith is the guy in the division at the moment. Are we going to see them face off and unify? I don't think so, to be honest. Maybe Benavidez and Plant will meet each other, but I don't know. Look out for Plant's next opponent. I'll say that much.
We're going to talk about that. Don't worry. I think a Smith-Billy Joe Saunders fight early next year would be a great indicator of the hierarchy, because maybe the winner of that can have a real claim to being the best guy in the division.
Just quick shits and giggles. Eddie Hearn is convinced that Billy Joe Saunders is getting the Canelo fight Cinco de Mayo.
Wait, sorry. Repeat that again, because all I heard was Eddie says. So I'm like, I tuned out. Oh, Eddie says.
You're okay. You're ridiculous. No, you might want to anyway for this one, because I don't know whether there's something behind this or it's wishful thinking or it's just saying the right thing in front of your fighter. But he said he is convinced Billy Joe Saunders gets the Canelo fight Cinco de Mayo next year. So I don't know whether that stems from some kind of talks or...
It's bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I realized? Like, that soundbite is so perfect for Eddie now. Like, I'm just going to use that far more often for, like, promoter talk or fighter talk. It's
bullshit.
Like, and it's not just for Eddie. I'm going to use it for everyone. Don't get me wrong. But, like, that's going to be the soundbite for it now. I don't know why I haven't been using it for that reason.
As it was used for him, this is always going to be a good one.
Who the fuck is he talking about?
Yo, Bob, I forgot to put all those on my soundboard. I need to.
Oh, no, you're like, send me all those Aram links, and I'm like, all right.
I need to make room. That's the thing. I need to make room for it, and I don't know where to make room, and that is terrifying. Like, deleting stuff off my soundboard it's like deleting like one of my children. It's like, no.
Like deleting one of your children. How many you got?
Just got one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just. maybe say fingers next time.
That I know of. I don't know. Digressing.
Oh, gigolo over here.
David Benavidez, quick sort of rapid thoughts on his performance. I agree with a lot of the technical assessments that Rob said. Clear lateral movement deficiency, and that needs to be addressed. Lack of head movement. Does a really good job of parrying shots and blocking shots with his arms and his forearms and his elbows, but I would like to see a more varied defensive arsenal, a more varied offensive arsenal. Maybe he just didn't care to show it here, but I think it's more an issue that he doesn't really have it yet because we haven't seen him show it yet. You know what I mean?
I do think he didn't respect Durrell's power. I think
that's true, but you know what I mean? Like, I'll put it this way. Spence versus Lamont Peterson. Remember there was that moment where like Spence was like moving around all nice, and I was like, ooh. That's his version of Spence we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
Maybe he has that in him, right? And then we saw it with Mikey and now Porter, right? We then saw it in other fights for more extended periods where it was needed. David Benavidez hasn't done that quite yet for me in any of his fights where I go, oh, that's that glimpse of an extra piece of his game that when he does fight those really top guys, he will fall back on and need, and it will show that he's a high-level boxer.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. He is raw. He is a raw talent because when he explodes, holy shit! It's when he does let go with some combinations. He's good. I would say he's the fastest throwing super middleweight.
Agreed.
Fastest hands, crazy, but yeah, I just wasn't off of that performance with Durrell. Yeah.
Plus, he is 22. I have to add that
early, yeah, he's
super
very
young. And plus, he had the layoff. You know, a lot combinating factors up to why this performance may not have been the best. But I do think there are clear technical issues he does need to address. But then again, he was 22. He should have technical issues that he needs to address. That's normal. Speaking of a person having technical issues that they need to address, Mario Barrios defeating Batur Akhmedov. Yes, Gary. You love that segue. You know it. Digressing though.
No laughing matter. It's not a joke. It's something that's really serious.
Actually, I'm gonna do something. I should say I'm gonna start with positive, but I definitely didn't start with positive. I'm now gonna say some positive things and then go to some of more of my criticisms and constructive criticism of Barrios' game. And to be honest, Gary, I've actually gone back and watched a couple of his fights. Like in the last 24 hours, I was like, you know what? I'll go back and watch the last 3 or 4 fights. I'll see what Gary's seeing and what I saw and all that fun stuff. Wasn't that much. But I will say this. Barrios he does something that's really well. His straight shots are, picture perfect. Like dictionary, textbook perfect of how to throw a jab. How to throw a straight right hand. His timing of it is perfect. His accuracy of it is perfect. Like you can't, that is such basic, but on top of it, important fundamentals that a lot of guys don't have. So he does have that. Credit to him. On top of it, clearly a tall, lanky guy that knows how to use his height and his reach, knows how to set up angles, set up shots. He's a crafty boxer. Decent footwork, I should say. Definitely above average footwork. But
yeah, do the bad ones now.
But he is a guy that needs to be going forward, in my opinion, to really get his game going in a way that he is comfortable with. And on top of that, in terms of comfortable, he's a guy, and I said this on the post-fight show, Gary, so you remember this, but he is a guy that clearly needs to have some level of control, and he likes to slow fights down. And when fights exceed a certain tempo or pace, his defense drops, he starts throwing wild combinations, and he becomes far more susceptible to his opponent's offense. And maybe that's just a factor of him being a young fighter. Absolutely could be. He's young. I know he has 25 years old. But these are clear issues he needs to address. On top of it, I do think he has really significant head movement issues. I think his footwork is fine, but his upper body is super static in what it does. In terms of how he moves, where he goes, how he throws combinations. He's a guy that still, he might be setting up angles with his feet, but his torso is still in the same spot. His head is still static on that line in a way. And that means he is truly susceptible to counters because his legs are moving a certain way and his torso isn't. And that means when he gets caught with a certain shot going that way, it's going to hurt and hurt more. And I think that's what we saw here is that all those things in combination. He was going backwards way too much. He wasn't in control. The tempo exceeded his expectation and desire. And on top of it, he wasn't really able to get his head off the center line of these combinations from Akhmedov. And these are things he needs to address. And until he addresses that, he is going to be susceptible to these tougher fights at this level of sort of the division, these top 30-ish prospect guys, right? And because of that, it makes me really hard to say, yes, he is going to be a champion in a year or two. I don't see it yet. I need to see improvement in those factors because honestly, if you go back in a lot of his fights, Gary, those have been reoccurring issues from day one that he really hasn't addressed.
He is a champion now.
Stop. He has refined some of the things he does well through his career, obviously, like his jab, his straight shots, his footwork, his ability to sort of use his range and his reach. But there is so much of his game that he has not improved on for a long time. And I think maybe a trainer or a camp change would be in order for Mario Barrios, to be quite honest. Rob, any thoughts on Barrios versus Akhmedov, which was, by the way, a really fun fight. Go check it out if you haven't yet. I know it was on the undercard of the pay-per-view telecast. I don't know if people watched it yet, but that was a fun fight that was worth, I would say, paying attention to. I know like Santiago was really down on it when he called in last night, but I thought that was a really fun fight, to be quite honest.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, and I think Barrios has got away with one. He was exposed, and how'd you say it?
Akhmedov.
Akhmedov, yeah, he was legit. He was like this fucking Terminator. He was just chasing him down the whole night, and I think, like you said, picking up on his upper body movement, Matt Macklin and Dave Caldwell were doing Sky sort of analysis, and they were saying this Akhmedov just needs jab for the chest because it's going to set up everything else off that, just because it's just there. He's just there to hit. And for me, one of the knockdowns was, I'm not saying it wasn't a knockdown, but it was like a real soft, weird one where Barrios kind of stepped back and it made Akhmedov's gloves fall to the, like he was almost as if like he was leaning on him, and then his gloves touched, and it was like, oh fuck. But that that second knockdown, for me, saved Barrios in the fight. But yeah, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it again. I think that deserves a rematch because the crowd didn't like the decision for sure. They gave Akhmedov a great ovation. By the way, speaking of crowd ovations, when they got Danny Garcia up in the ring, oh god damn, like, boo! I was like, oh. Anyway, but yeah, Akhmedov, I thought really felt for him because he put on a cardio display like no other. That was insane. He was just constantly going down. But yeah, Barrios, get a trainer that can teach you box off the back foot if you're going to fight like that, because yeah, you're not very good at it. And I don't know, but Macklin and Dave Caldwell, they seem to think that Barrios has probably broken his cheekbone or something, because just that,
the way the swelling was. Yeah,
they just said that looks like there's a break there. So if he is, hopefully that heals up nicely, and he's good to go again, because I want to see a rematch. That was I enjoyed that fight. I don't know why Santi was down on it, but
yeah,
strange. Not enough 10-10s, maybe.
Maybe Santi was drunk at the movie theater. It's quite possible. Moving on, though. Josito Lopez defeating John Leon Jr. via KO in the 8th round. A fun old man fight. I gotta say, there is There's a place for these type old man fights. We're going to talk about another old man fight later on in a second that shouldn't be allowed. But with these guys, like Lopez looked great against Keith Thurman. Like he has value, I think, still in this division. John Molina Jr., I think, clearly is deteriorating, but this was probably the last big hurrah he could have had, if any. And he went for it. Credit to him. But this should probably be the last significant fight of his career, to be quite honest. If he wants to have some more club shows to make some money, I'm fine with that. But
not with that corner team though.
No, God, that was bad.
Just don't let him get out for that.
The officiating, the judging, and the corner work all around this weekend was just bad for all combat sports.
Didn't know the commission or someone had to jump up to stop Darrell's eye opening up even more. Was it that fight? It was, right? They're all up on the ring apron waving it off.
Was it that one or this one? Was it Lopez Molina?
I think it was Benavidez Darrell. The ref just jumped in for the Molina one.
Well, the Darrell one, the corner stopped it during the ninth round, and this one was a standing stoppage. It doesn't really specify. Anyways,
the two guys were up on the apron.
I know what you're talking about. I just don't know if it was for this one or that one. But digressing, Jose Lopez looked good. I thought like a fight against. I don't.
Yeah, it was a Darrell fight.
If it's like the a Lipinets fight next for Jose Lopez, that'd be really fun. Throw him in there with an action fight on undercard. I think that's what he's sort of built for in the next 18 months that you can probably use him for. And then I think he's going to be probably spent because he's also another guy that is older, longer in the tooth. How much longer can he keep doing this? I don't know. But he's a fun action fighter that's making some good money right now.
Yeah, just a little resurgence in it. Off a good performance against Thurman. Yes, he lost or whatever, but he put it on Thurman for a while and real good display. And then on this one, look, don't get me wrong, this isn't some gauge because he beat Molina that he's going to go on some championship tear up and or whatever. Because Molina, he just didn't see punches coming. He no reactions, no reflexes, no.
He was
movement.
shot. Yeah, he was bad.
He's done for me. It's that was plain to see from round one. Lopez couldn't miss with that right hand all night. It was just there. And at one point, I don't know if he felt a little bad about it because he just seemed to take his foot off the gas. I think he could have got him up out of there in about 2 or 3. But yeah, call it a day now, John Molina. I think because you can't, especially in the latter stages of your career, just take shots like that. That's not good for anybody. And your corner needs a slap or something because the way they should have let you come out in that 8th round or whatever it was.
Moving on, Robert Guerrero fighting again. Yep, that's about it. Also, Joey Spencer picked up a much-needed KO win because he hasn't been looking that good in his last fight or two, I should say. And it was a significant KO. I mean, he bullied his opponent. That was rough.
Who was that? Was it? What was the kid's name? He got like a almost Wilder-like.
Was it Leon Lawson? Because I didn't watch that fight.
No, someone. Who else on the card? Must have been like nearly first, I would say, because there's barely anyone in the arena.
Jose Valenzuela, Charles Clark.
Yeah. Have you seen that knockout? Oh my god!
I have.
He kind of like the guy's on the way down, and he hits him with 2 more on the way down.
I had all those like YouTube prelims like on the background while setting up the show for later that night. So I apologize. I wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah, Jake Donovan tweeted out the link. You sent the link, but I'd already. The reason I replied to you fucking tease, is because I'd already clicked Jake Donovan's link, and it's
geo-blocked.
Yeah, the broadcaster said you can't watch it, motherfucker.
Why don't you get a VPN?
Matt, I don't even know what I'm doing. I barely make the mouse work on this show. It's ran out on me like 4 shows in a row.
You know what?
Now.
I believe in you. If you just typed in how to work a VPN or how to use a VPN, you would figure it out. I believe in you. I've heard it's easy. I haven't done it because I don't feel the need to do it.
You don't need to.
Yeah, I don't need to. I never do.
Matchroom tend to show everybody their whole undercard on a
and you know me, like if I miss some undercard fights, I'm not gonna cry about it. I watched 40 some odd fights this weekend, guys. If I miss some undercard fights, I'm okay.
Yeah, the hipster tag is gone.
No, it's not hipster. Shut up, okay. Anyways, I watch more fights than you. That's all that matters.
Stop crapping around because you think you know better than anybody else.
If you don't watch it, you can't comment.
That's true. That's why I didn't comment on those undercard fights that you were talking about. I didn't say.
Anyway.
Moving on. Manny Pacquiao open to the idea of fighting in Dubai with Amir Khan. Now, we've heard this before, right? Like this is the same old, hey, he's in the UAE on doing some game with his basketball team, right, that he partly owns in the Philippines. And he's like, yeah, I would like to fight Amir Khan. Like, that'd be cool. Like, I would love to fight him in the Middle East. Like, of course. Like, he said that 1,000 times. However, an interesting part at the very end here. Where is it? Right here. At the very end, we can discuss that. A fight between us, meaning Amir Khan. I have a commitment for my next fight. One fight only. But after that, we can talk. No problem. Rob.
Mikey.
Okay, let me ask the fucking question, please, okay?
Who do I think that one fight is?
Yes. It's Mikey. Yeah, it's
Sean
Mikey.
Porter.
No, it's Mikey. It's goddamn
It should be Porter, though.
It should be, but we don't live in that world.
No, we don't live off fairness and who deserves, because Mikey probably sells better.
But if we're talking about like what should happen, like it would clearly be probably what I'll make this. If I am the boxing gods, and I say this is what should be happening right now in the welterweight division, Spence Pacquiao. I know that's controversial. Crawford Porter. And then Danny can fight Lepinets, Ugas, Kell Brook, Jeff Horn, whoever. I don't care. But like
Jeff Horn getting a mention. I love it.
Like anyone, like, you know, bring back Sammy Vasquez from the grave. Like anyone.
Stick with Jeff Horn. Be in Boxrec Gray's good books.
That's true. Gray would love that fight. But digressing, like that's what should be happening. But that's not what's going to happen. We're going to get Spence versus Danny Garcia, a fight that doesn't make sense right now. We're going to get Pacquiao versus Mikey, a fight that doesn't make sense right now. We're going to get Crawford versus Kavaliauskas, a fight that no one ever will want or ask for ever in their life.
Mandatory.
We will be talking about Crawford's career 30 years from now and going, hey, who did he fight that one time? No, don't. Who cares? Doesn't matter. We will burn the tapes of this fight because it won't matter. That's how stupid this fight is, how pointless it is. We can erase it from history, and it won't matter. But digressing, now Manny Pacquiao, Mikey Garcia, fun fight. When do we think this is? Is this not going to be?
I guess it depends on his. I mean, that's another pay-per-view, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's he'll be when he's not on. He's got his little senator duties, isn't he, at a certain period of the year, and then he's coming back. When was the Broner fight?
The Broner fight was in January.
It was January, so maybe, I don't know, but obviously that's not happening. Oh, because by the way, speaking of ESPN, that was an ESPN alert. Thanks for them ruining. Spoiler alert this morning. I got told he won by 11th round split decision.
I love when mainstream sports outlets try to cover boxing and they just fail completely. Like they mess up on basic shit like that.
It's like, he dropped Porter in the 11th round, picks up the win.
And no, it's not like they just said that, because like that wouldn't mean what you're saying. They went on and say he won in an 11th round decision. They specifically said 11th round decision.
Yeah, but yeah, what were we talking about?
Back to Pacquiao, Mikey Garcia.
Mikey.
Probably gonna be like an April fight. if I have to guess.
Yeah.
And it's going to be pay-per-view.
No, I think it should be March.
I mean, if we're living in a world where like the consumers are thought of, you would put this on top of a Spence Danny fight.
What?
And like you have a doubleheader pay-per-view. It'd be like in a perfect world.
Yeah, for $150.
Like, I know it's not happening, but like if talking about like paying $75 for all these pay-per-views, like can we consolidate some of these and like make some of these double headers, please? Like, I'll be honest, if you just give me those 2 fights and no other undercard fights, I'll pay $75 for that. And the rest can be on FS1 or Fox, right? The prelims. But if you want to pay money, you just get those 2 fights. I'm okay with that. Those are 2 great fights. Don't give me the Barrios Akhmedov fights. Put those on FS1. I'm okay with that.
But yeah, I think it'll be March. So you can go January, February, March, back to back to back pay-per-view.
Here's the thing. There's gonna be no pay-per-view in February because they're gonna skip that date.
Oh, what, Fury?
Yeah, there's no way they're gonna make February 22nd, man. Like in the boxing universe, you tell me that Wilder's not gonna get a cut or like get like a somewhat concussed,
broken hand or
something.
Shit.
Like, come on, guys. Like,
torn bicep.
He's gonna come back around from late November to late February.
Maybe a deflated ego, or
no, they're gonna push that shit back to like mid-March, which is fine. And you know what? Benefit off of March Madness somewhat. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, Pac Mikey, no doubt. And I don't ever want to see Pacquiao fight Amir Khan.
It's definitely gonna happen at some point. There's so much money.
I mean, Eddie was talking about. I know you don't like hearing about the fight, but it might not even be via Matchroom. It could be Cal Brook and Amir Khan in the Middle East somewhere, via their own thing. It might not even be with Eddie, if you know what I mean.
It's bullshit.
Moving on to more bullshit. Daniel Dubois demolished Ebenezer Scrooge. This was the biggest waste of a fight camp I can imagine. There was no point in this at all. Like, he had his like coming out moment against Nathan Gorman in a fight that, like, I still remember quite vividly. Like, that was a great fight, fun fight, and also again coming out performance of Daniel Dubois. And now he goes and fights Ebenezer Scrooge, a fighter that no one has heard of before, and defeats him in 1 round. And it was clear from the onset that this guy had no business in the ring with Daniel Dubois. Had 0 business being in there.
It was for the vacant Commonwealth title, Matt.
Awesome. Dude, I could give 2 fucking shits about that Commonwealth belt.
Daniel Dubois does, because he wants to collect them all.
Cool. Daniel, I could wipe that shit on my ass. Okay, that's how worthy it is to me. How much value it has. It has no value. Who cares?
It's not about you.
That's awesome.
It's not all about you, Matt.
That's cool. When I'm talking about my opinions, it is purely about me then. Okay? And my opinion is, Daniel Dubois, don't do this. Like, why? Like, you're far better. I know you're young. I know you're a Frank Warren fighter. And you, like, basically get a top-rank UK version of that diet, right, in terms of matchmaking. Please do better. Like, the Joe Joyce fight's there. Why don't you guys just fight already?
It's not.
It should be there, though.
Yeah, it should, but it's not.
I know. Same way like Pacquiao Spence. The fight's there. Make the fight. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know that these 2 guys or these 2 camps don't want to fight each other, but...
One does, but the other one doesn't.
But for whatever bullshit reason, they're not fighting. Fuck that. Pay them the money, because that's a good fight, and that's going to make money. You're telling me that a Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce fight in the UK is not going to be a great regional fight to make money? It would. And on top of it, same with Pacquiao Spence. You tell me if you don't overpay Pacquiao, you're not going to make your money back because that fight's going to do gangbuster numbers? Come on. Stop. Like, stop settling for bullshit, guys. And I'm talking mainly to the consumers now and promoters and networks. Stop settling for bullshit, please.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I pretty sure, obviously, the Americans, if they were tuned in on ESPN Plus, you wouldn't have got the BT or the Steve Bunce chat with Paul Dempsey and whatever. But just before Dubois walks out, Dempsey, the main host, is with Joe Joyce, and everybody's already like, oh, Joe's not the best on the mic and this and that. But Dempsey, obviously, Joyce's own network, they pretty much rinsed Joe Joyce. He was like, Joe, when you look around you and see all these people here, do you feel that Daniel Dubois is riding your wave? He's overtaken you, and these people are here for him. And look what he's created. It was real weird. They made Joe Joyce look like the B of all B-sides, and Dubois. Well, I'm just saying it was not what you'd expect from your own network, right?
No, but the shit happens. There are favorites within networks and within promotions. Like, that happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sam Jones is like, obviously, Dubois is Warren's new little golden child, and blah, 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 but show some respect to this, that, and the other. Everyone that night was like, let's get it on with Joyce, make it for Joyce. And he's like, nah, look, Joyce is above Dubois in levels, and he's fought better. He's got a much better resume, and
he really doesn't.
People are like, well, you're just about to fight Marco Huck for the European title. Daniel Dubois is not these levels behind, really. So let's just make the fight. It'll be huge in the UK. It'll get a load of interest, but I don't know. I don't think Team Juggernaut want that fight. But yeah, Tete, thanks.
Hey, you know what? I may say this again. I don't know if I said this on this show or a different show. It might have been on Anthony Walker's show, but yeah, it was definitely on Anthony Walker's show because it was about MMA managers. Because I've had some beefs with MMA managers recently. But managers on the whole, please, for the love of fucking God, stop being so vocal on social media. Stop. Like, you're not doing your client any favors. I'll be honest. Like, go and make the big fights. That's your job. Your job is not to promote. You're a manager. Okay? That's the promoter's job. If the promoter is not promoting your fighter enough, and you're out there on social media more promoting your fighter, then go talk to your fighter's promoter, if that's the issue. Please. Like, I'm tired of seeing, like, Sam Jones, what's his name, Rick, what's his name, Jose Ramirez's manager.
Ramos?
Is it?
I don't know.
Is it Rick Ramos? Is that?
It was Rico Ramos. That's, by the way, who apparently Gary Russell's dad thought. Leo's dad thought. Gary Russell.
No, not fighter. No. I'm talking about manager. I'm talking about.
Manager. No. I'm just saying he thought it was Rick Ramos.
Cool. Or Sam Kavakis, probably butchering that name, of Regis Prograis. There's an issue if your manager's out there being your biggest promoter. To be quite honest, gigantic one. Address it. Because that's not how it should be, being honest. Circling back to Dubois, he looked fantastic for 30 seconds or a minute or however long the fight lasted. But again, this was against no one that was competitive against him, and hopefully he fights someone that is competitive against him moving forward, because I don't care to see this. Moving on. Mike Coppinger. Sources, Badu Jack and John Pascal are engaged in advanced discussions toward a light heavyweight fight pegged for December. Pascal upset Marcus Brown for the WBA secondary title, bullshit title, at 175 pounds last month. Jack was defeated by Brown in January. Rob, thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I don't mind it. Sorry,
good fight.
I'm not like
blown away,
hyped up, but I'm not like hating on it or anything. It's just good, solid fight.
It is a good solid fight. Yep, I agree. Definitely one of those that does not blow you away, but definitely when you watch, it'll probably be a fun fight. But also, both guys getting a little bit old, let's be honest. Moving on, though, Caleb Plant back in action. Appears he's going to be fighting his mandatory Vincent Vagenboots.
He's a machine.
I feel like I'm totally being offensive to Germans right now. I apologize.
Noisy, rough balloons.
I like. I really hate sanctioning bodies because there's no reason that this guy should be not even a mandatory. He shouldn't even be ranked in your top 15.
He's
Like,
number 3. 1 and 2 are vacant. So he's the next best. But look, Callum Sutherland says he's the hardest punching super middleweight in the division.
he's on coke.
That's a good link up, you know.
Allegedly.
With, middleweight division.
I don't care. No. K-Plan's not the one with coke. That's Benavidez.
No, it's super middleweight division.
Oh, you just okay. Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying. I don't care what Vigan Boots promoter says, and his promoter being a notorious and alleged.
Wait, I gotta
whatever
find
he
out.
is.
I gotta read that out myself because I'm not going with Vigan Boots.
Yeah.
I can't. That's not good. Where did it? Let me see. I can't. That's harsh on the kid. He's got
I really don't mean to be offensive with the name on this one. Like Ebenezer Scrooge, I'm 100% meaning to be offensive with that. With this, I don't mean it. I just don't know how to pronounce German names. Apologies. But Vigan Boots, I mean, I don't know how he got ranked, period. I don't know who he's...
It might be Vigan Boots.
I'm telling you, Vigan Boots, it's...
Vegan Boots.
Vegan Boots.
Vegan.
Sounds like vegans. Anyways,
Vegan butts.
What are we, 13? What are you doing?
I don't know. I said it and you laughed.
Yeah, but you said it because you... You turned 40. How dare you? But speaking of how dare someone, how dare the sanctioning body rank someone this high to be in a title fight? Like, why? It makes no sense.
Suddenly...
This is worse than Carlos Ocampo.
People that had a little thing to say about Callum Smith, John Ryder. I'm like, when I saw this, suddenly that's not a bad fight.
No, it's still a bad fight.
That's not.
John Ryder's still a bad fight.
No, it's not.
For Callum Smith. Absolutely. Like, Billy Joe Saunders defeated him at middleweight 5 years ago, bro. Like, there's no point in fighting John Ryder right now. It's a bad fight. Is it as dog shit as this? Of course not. No.
It's like those dry white ones. They're like the weird white ones you don't see anymore. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just an old joke. Don't worry.
Dog shit.
Yeah.
I was like...
No, don't worry. Look, everyone. What? Because I said white ones. Was I being racial?
No. I knew you were talking about shit, but I'm like, wait.
You know those like white ones we used to see.
Anyways, I was like Vigan Boots, white ones. I'm like butts. Like, I just made weird connections to. Anyways, I don't care for this fight at all. Moving on. Caleb Plant, why are you fighting Vigan Boots? Please. Pay him step aside because there's no way he's going to be ranked that long for.
Well, step aside for what? Step aside for what though?
I don't know. Benavidez next.
Someone
Benavidez.
IBF. Benavidez has got a fight.
Yurdam. God, fuck! I hate these fights. 168 after like 5 or 6 guys is just.
Unless they're fighting each other, I'm not interested.
Yeah, it's really rough in that division.
Billy Joe Saunders' division is shit. Like rankings.
I'll say
everyone's rankings is shit.
I made this point on yesterday's show, and I will make this point again. Just close out the division and have all these guys move up to 175. Because then 175 is fucking amazing.
Yeah, I think, look, Callum Smith's going to be there sooner rather than later. Joe Gallagher done an interview and said, I don't want him fighting anything under 5% body fat. And in the fight against Ndam, he was actually 5% body fat on Callum Smith. So he said, I'm not having him fight underneath that. So he's going to have to move up at some point.
Of course. Moving on, last topic of the day, then we're going to callers 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. International callers calling on Skype Mixed Combat Radio. Elwin Soto, if you do not remember his name.
Whoa, is this the last topic, did you say?
Yeah, what else do we have?
Wilder Ortiz.
Oh fuck, that's right. You know why? Because it's not on the topic thing. It's not on a article. So like I'm just running through the articles. I always forget that.
It's in your title though.
It is, but I don't have my. I do have the title up actually over here. I should be. You know what?
I'm like, oh, he saved the Wilder stuff for last. See what you did there.
I know. I will say the Wilder stuff for last because I want to bring up Owen Soto first because I need to bring up the clip that you sent. Owen Soto, who defeated Angel Tito Costa in one of the underrated fights of the year, is fighting Edward Heno on a Golden Boy card October 24th. First off, Owen Soto is a fantastic fighter. I'm excited to see what he does going forward. But this fight does nothing for him. On top of it, Golden Boy, what are you doing? Honestly. Like, how... I know this fight's going to be in the Philippines, and it's like a regional card that you're putting on. I get it, but, God, what are you doing? Like, it just seems like you're circling the drain at this point in time. But let's get to Deontay Wilder. Rob, are you, before I play the clip, are you as surprised as me that this is what is the reason?
What is it the reason? Because he did the Fury fight after this, right? After the first one with Ortiz.
Yeah, true.
But it's been something...
But to be fair, I mean, the Fox deal wasn't what it was when he fought Fury.
No, maybe not. True.
I mean, the first Fox fight wasn't until weeks after that one, for example. So the deal wasn't even in place for...
Speaking of the deal, do you want to let people know what this deal is? I mean, what the...
Oh, that's true. Yes, let's talk about it. Deontay Wilder has been very vocal to media and on pay-per-view telecast even. He went on the pay-per-view telecast itself and said this. But let's just play the clip again of Deontay Wilder at the announcement press conference for the Ortiz fight and why, some of his reasons, why that this fight is now on Fox and not Showtime.
This is your second rematch that you've had.
Whoa, that was really loud.
Wow,
you need to calm down there.
Song, I believe the Beatles had it, is all you need is one. Deontay Wilder just needs one shot.
Shout out, what's his name? Flores. Is it somebody?
Flores? Ray Flores?
Yeah. Is it? That's the same dude, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Oh. My shit froze up.
Oh, shit.
God damn it. I'm trying to play it. I can't right now. I apologize. Rob, can you play on your end?
Do you want me to hold my phone here?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You don't have iMessage hooked up through your computer, which makes no sense.
What if I send it again? Will that help?
Hold on. Okay, hold on. I'm just going to turn down my end. Rob, don't talk for a second because they won't be able to hear you.
Your first one, you went ahead. The first fight that you had, you went ahead and you defeated Berman Stavern. You finished him off when you guys had the rematch in unbelievable fashion. Are you looking to do the same against Luis Ortiz to make it a more convincing victory to prove those that may say, well, he got, the blessing of the referee in the 7th round to make it more definitive?
The only way people ran away with that narrative is because of Showtime commentary, Paulie Malignaggi. When people do commentary, people that don't understand boxing, that's on the outside looking in, only can hear they so-called experts and stuff. So it can be a narrative painted. Even with the lead up with Fairhood scorecard keeping and stuff, things can be painted in people's minds. So they're like, oh, this must be really is what it is. What's a 2-second, 3-second? That ain't no fucking break. Excuse my language, but I'm passionate. Okay, that's not a break. I don't. When you're a warrior, that's what kind of break is that? That's like taking a deep breath. When somebody in their life, he took his last breath. I ain't taking my last breath. I continued on as a champion. So that wasn't no break at all. And we was already warned that would happen if certain things occurred. That had nothing to do with me nor him, if anything. So, but it was painted out there, put it in people's heads. So I want to correct my wrongs into rights, and this is why we're here now.
So, hold on. Sorry, turn up the volume again. Rob.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I'm pretty shocked that this is some of the reasoning behind the departure from Showtime, to be honest. At least from like the. Do I think this is the main reason? No, I think Fox's promotional, sort of, how do I say it, advantages over Showtime is probably the main factor why PBC led PBC to make Fox a priority over Showtime. And plus, I think it's clear that they get more buys off of these Fox pay-per-views than they would off of Showtime pay-per-views, just being honest. But to have a personal reason of this nature that the commentary of Showtime, a commentary team that I personally think is the gold standard right now in boxing, at least a year or so ago is one of the issues for Deontay Wilder and why he sort of wants to get away from Showtime. Rob, I mean, I'm surprised by this, to be quite honest. I didn't know this was a thought or opinion of his at all until he mentioned it at this press conference.
I know him and Paulie had a back and forth, and I thought Paulie said, they discussed it, they talked about it, and things were kind of cool. But yeah, it raised its head again. So I don't know. It's like I said, I don't think this is like the reason.
Yes, like I said,
that Wilder's gone. No, I'm not fighting on Showtime anymore because Paulie says naughty things about me. But it's probably
it's an issue. It definitely is.
Yeah. Why would you say it? And
it's clear he's emotional about it. Like, and I don't mean that like in
he is emotional.
I mean, he's an emotional guy, but like I say that not to mean a disparaging way of like, oh, he's emotional. Like, no, like it's clear that like this upsets him. It's clear like whatever Paulie said upsets him. It's clear that he thinks that the Showtime narrative, air quote narratives about him are negative, and that offends him in some way. Like that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, he brought up Farhad's scorecard as well,
yes,
right? So
yes, he did.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously issues there that he didn't appreciate, and when it's your team on your network, I guess you expect some kind of backing. But a lot of people had a problem with how that end of the 7th going into the 8th round or whatever it was went down. So Paulie sort of said it as he saw it. Paulie's always been vocal. He'll always sort of call it how he sees it. Whether you agree or not is another matter. But he's not afraid of saying what he thinks, as we know. So yeah, but Wilder obviously doesn't appreciate that, and that might have been a contributing factor to with an opportunity of Fox coming up. That was just an added, fuck them,
Which it's going to happen. Fighters are emotional people. People are emotional, period. But I mean, sort of what you were saying. Like, I don't think it's a real valid criticism, to be honest, from Wilder. I mean, the commentary team is going to have their opinions. They should feel empowered to give their opinions and their criticisms and their takes on what they're watching. That's what they get paid for. And if they're great analysts, if they're great commentators, they're going to try to be highly objective about what they're watching, even if it is the golden goose of Showtime boxing in Deontay Wilder.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you're there being a, corporate pumping narrative for the whole world's watching, and they're like, what the fuck? Oh my god, these guys are shit. They're just saying what the fucking network wants them to say. It's scripted. They can't win, and if you go against the grain of what the fighter thinks, you're upsetting the fighter, and it's a fine line to tread, really, because like you say, that was Wilder's one of the biggest draw that was on Showtime at that moment, and he didn't appreciate the words. So you've got to toe the line as well. So do you just not say things, or do you have your own integrity and say what you're there to do? And I don't know. It's tricky. There's many people to keep happy in that situation. So it's a fine line, and I guess the best of them have managed to do that without really. We always saw Mayweather and
Larry Merchant.
Yeah, going back and forth. You don't know shit. And if I was 50 years old, younger, I'd kick your ass. But that was sort of part of it. I think part of Mayweather playing heel and being that guy. But yeah, interesting that came up in the press conference. The fact that I did catch hold of that, considering that was off the back of at least a 20-minute monologue from Wilder. Oof. Bless him. He can be engaging, but he needs to know when to leave little pauses for other things, not just keep going. But yeah, he talks. But no, it was yeah, poor media. There was obviously a boxing card happening. Wilder was like an hour late or nearly an hour late. Blame the LA traffic. I'm sure Mac can sympathize, but
yeah, I agree.
Well, if you've got a deadline to be somewhere, you might want to just be there plenty ahead of time. But yeah, that was a long wait, and we got some sound bites and stuff, and the fight's happening, and Leo Santa Cruz and he's co-main. Woohoo!
Oh, we don't need to talk about that. That's bullshit. Moving on to callers. Let's get out of here. Like, I don't care about that bullshit. Gary in Dallas, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. International caller, Skype, Mixed Combat Radio. Gary in Dallas.
I've got to hand that to you. I've heard the phrase bootlicker. I've never heard the term corporate bootlicker before.
Oh, really?
So I've heard bootlicker. Like,
you need to hang out with more Marxists. That's why. You need to hang out with more Marxists.
Maybe. Yep. I have a neighbor down the block whose F-150 is painted like the Blue Lion flag. And I always say, hey, that's a lot of trouble to go through just to lick the boot. I've never heard it used in terms of corporations, right? Like, because CEOs, corporate CEO, executive networks don't usually wear boots. So that's why it's like a weird thing. But yeah, I've never heard that before. Corporate bootlicker.
Gary, I love your reasoning. Like, but like executives, they don't wear boots. Like, it's just
yeah, they usually wear like wingtip shoes or something, like Italian suits. Or,
it's a bit of a generalization, Gary, because that CEO, that CEO could be a woman.
Ooh, yeah.
It could be.
How sexist of you.
That's true. He's right. It could be a woman. Absolutely.
Yeah, probably
not. Hey, Gary, totally off topic. Have you seen the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse cartoon movie that came out like a year ago?
No, I hadn't.
Okay. There's a scene where like he's like talking about like a plan. He was like, and then the evil scientist guy, and one of the guy goes, actually it's a woman, and he goes, oh, I need to recheck my like inner worldviews, and it's really funny. That's you right now.
First, you apologize for butchering the German fighter's name, but none of y'all apologize for butchering Orlando Fittipaldi's name last week.
No, of course not.
Because that was that was terrible. I mean, Matt got it a little bit closer, but Rob, man, that was terrible.
I think.
Really,
look, hey, I'll put this out here for anyone listening. Do not trust on us to pronounce names correctly. Just don't.
Mario Barrios went backwards worse than Italians.
And he's like an instigator. He's like the kid on the playground that goes, "Oh, you gonna let him say that about you?" Like he just starts with people for no reason. He texted me before the fight, or messaged me before the fight that Barrios and Spence were gonna lose, and then again this morning that Barrios looked like trash. It's like, hey, good morning, Rob. How are you? Like, you have a fight with your wife or something? Like, why are you taking this out on me?
You can't handle the truth.
All right. So, Spence or Barrios? Where would you guys rather start?
I don't care, Gary.
Go with Spence. Get the one that looks better out of the way.
I scored the fight 114-113 for Spence, for Porter, originally. I watched it again. I gave the last round, the second time to Porter. I'm sorry. I watched it again. this morning. I scored the 12th round for Spence the second time I watched it, which means I had 114, 113 for Spence.
Okay.
And that's the most common card that I've seen is 114, 113 Spence. Like, I've seen a bunch of scores, but that's the one I keep seeing the most. It was that kind of fight. And it made me think maybe there's not that big a divide between Crawford and Spence and everybody else, right? Because I looked at it, I was like, Crawford and Spence were 1 and 1A, and then everyone else was a notch below. Well, I mean, it's not that Porter and Thurman and Garcia might be a lot closer. They may all kind of be on the same level, right?
Yeah.
And depending on the day, you might get a different winner. You don't think so?
No, I said, yeah, I agree with you. And to be honest, like, I feel like this should have been more evident for people going into this fight. Like, people have some real romanticization about the Spence-Brook fight, and people think that, like, Spence dominated that fight. That was a close, competitive, fun fight, and I think people forget that. Like, I don't think Spence had ever shown yet that he was the guy to just dominate everyone at the top of this division. He hadn't shown that yet. He definitely showed that he could be the best guy in the division, but that's two different things. You can be the best guy, but you're not head and shoulders above everyone else. You could just be the best guy in the division. And he might be that.
Right, I mean, it would be hard. You'd have to be Floyd Mayweather or Pernell Whitaker in your prime to be head and shoulders above everyone else in that division.
Yeah.
That's a loaded division right
Yeah.
there, right? It's not like there's a bunch of mediocre fighters. There's great fighters in that division. Danny Garcia is probably 5th or 6th or 7th in that division, and he's a two-time two-division world champion, probably on his way to being a Hall of Famer. That tells you how good that division is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And I don't think Garcia deserves the Spence fight just for beating Granados, right? Because he lost to Thurman and he lost to Porter. And I know everyone, I thought he clearly lost both. I mean, they were good competitive fights, but I thought Thurman and Porter both clearly beat Danny Garcia.
I agree.
So, like, why would he get this fight off of only beating Granados? Like, let him go beat Ugas. If you can go beat Ugas, then okay. Or have him rematch with Thurman or Porter. I don't see why he gets that fight straight away.
Well, it's pretty simple. And, 92 in the chat did point it out quite well. I mean, Manny Pacquiao's off the table because he doesn't want to fight Spence, clearly. They don't want to make the Crawford fight, clearly. Who else is there that's still a pay-per-view worthy fight? It's Danny. Like, that's the next name on the list.
Yeah, I would like to see Porter, a rematch with Porter. I think it was that good of a fight. I think it was that close.
I'll be honest, though. If Thurman had beaten Pacquiao, I think we would have gotten that fight next. A Spence-Thurman fight. I'll be honest. In an alternate universe, if Thurman had somehow won the Pacquiao fight, they would have expedited that fight, in my opinion, for January. Easy.
Although Keith Thurman's got another injury. Did you see that?
Yeah, I know that. Alternate universe where he wins, he's healthy. That's what I'm talking about, yeah. But you know what? I'll ask you this. Of everyone in the B team for the commentary group or the A team, the ringside commentary booth for Fox, isn't Keith Thurman the best one of them all?
Yeah, we know that, though. I mean,
Danny's bad. Danny's rough.
This is not for him. No, Keith Thurman did a good job. Absolutely.
You know what? Danny should be like Kevin Smith's character in all those movies, man. Just be quiet and just stand there and make some faces, please. Like, don't say anything.
The Garcia fight. It's not a bad fight.
No, it's a good fight.
It's just I don't see a need for it, right? Like I mean,
I'll be honest.
I would rather see him rematch with Porter.
It's the closest thing you might get with a tune-up right now for Spence, if that makes sense.
A tune-up for what though? Like, okay, let's say he and that's
Crawford.
a hell of a tune-up, right? Like
Crawford.
But tuning him up for Crawford, you think so?
Yep. I'll be honest.
Okay.
I think I'm going to be optimistic here, guys, and I do think not the Pacquiao. I think Pacquiao doesn't want to fight at all. I don't think he wants to fight any of these guys. He's going to be content fighting Mike Garcia and Amir Khan next year and make a shit ton of money.
And then call it a career.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Okay?
Fuck you and fuck boxing, brother.
Oh, okay, relax there, Robert. I think the Thurman win for him was the legacy win he needed against this current crop of generation. So he doesn't need any more fights with these guys, in his mind, probably. So after a Spence-Danny Garcia fight in January, Crawford versus Kavaliauskas in December, both guys are clear, no fight on the horizon, and also no clear other guy for them to fight. Maybe a Kell Brook can come into the equation for a Terence Crawford because he said he's moving back down to 147. But other than that, who else is there? Ugas, Lipinets. You have to. If you're a PBC, you need Spence to be on pay-per-view. You can't do those fights on pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean Ugas would be a good fight, but there'd be zero interest in that.
Now, if they make, let's say they make Spence Danny fight pay-per-view in January, and then let's say Spence Ugas on Fox, regular Fox in the summer, I'm fine with that. Like, you know what? Like, I know we don't get the Crawford fight, but hey, at least they don't rip us off another $75. But they're not going to do that.
So, and I think you're right. I don't think Pacquiao is going to fight Spence or Crawford, especially not Crawford. I don't think he's going to fight Spence either. So, but let's say hypothetically he does, right? And that's the fight that happens in the second half of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Say Spence beats Garcia, and Pacquiao beats Mikey Garcia, right? And they make that fight in the second half of 2020.
Which they could.
Do you think at that point, Al would be willing to let Porter or Thurman go over to ESPN and fight Crawford on a pay-per-view?
Not in that sense. No, joint pay-per-view, yeah. But not sending them over. No.
Because I don't think Bob would be willing to do a joint pay-per-view.
Why?
Not with
Thurman already.
Crawford's a bigger star than all these guys.
That's not true. Thurman's a bigger star than Crawford. His numbers on TV are bigger.
No, I agree with you, but
he's done more.
Not in Bob Aaron's head.
But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Like I'm sorry, Bob Arum is old and he's deranged. Like if he thinks that, then the fight's not getting made. Like this is just a reality.
Right, which is that's my fear is that Bob Arum would say, sure, absolutely, he can fight one of Al's guys, but it has to be done on ESPN pay-per-view.
No, here.
You know what I'm saying?
But Gary, I don't think that's really an issue. I'll be honest. Like Bob has been very vocal in the media saying, "Hey, ESPN and Fox working together is easy." He went on. I think I talked about this on a show like a month ago or so, maybe 2 months ago. I think I even played a clip from it. But there's an interview Bob Arum did, and he was talking about the Wilder Fury fight, and more specifically, right? But he went on like, "Hey, Fox and ESPN have a long history of working together, decades, because of other sports like NBA, NFL. Like they have to. So it's not an HBO Showtime situation with those two networks. It isn't. And on top of it, I really don't think Bob is going to be that much of a stickler for that point. And if this was the UK, where like you have to go to Sky Sports box office channel specifically to buy the Sky Sports pay-per-view, or BT box office channel to buy the pay-per-view, if that was the same system over here in the US, then yes. But it's not. Cable providers aren't set up that way. I go to a pay-per-view channel that has every pay-per-view out there. And that's how it's run. And the networks are going to make their cut of it. And because of that model difference, I don't think it's an issue at all. Gary, you running a marathon over there?
All right. Yeah. No, I was just thinking for what you said. No, you're right. Fox and ESPN obviously have had to work together for years because of football, baseball, the World Series, other things, for sure. Obviously. So they have a working relationship. So you're right. That fight probably, if both parties wanted to make it, should be able to be made.
Yep.
So that's good news. That's good news. It just seems like the other promoters seem to be willing to work together, but nobody really seems to work with Al. You know what I'm saying? I know they did for Wilder Fury, but that's really it.
Well, not necessarily. Like, remember at 140, like a lot of the Heyman guys were going over and fighting Crawford because that's how the market dictated that. You know what I mean?
That's been a while. I mean, Felix Diaz.
But
I know
it's not about. It's not about.
Molina.
You're making it more about like a timing and like a. How should I specify this? I think all these promoters are just major capitalists, and if the market dictates a fight goes to a certain place or must be co-promoted or co-networked, it will be. If there's a clear A and B side, then that's going to be an issue. And if the B side is not going to accept that they're a B side, then the fight doesn't get made. A la AJ Wilder 2 or 3 years ago.
Sure.
You know, like.
What's he talking about?
I thought you would be like fully on board with that comparison, Rob.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, that's right. Bob did. Sorry. Well, Bob, Rob, same thing. Digressing. Gary, back to you though. I don't know what I was getting on and going on about until Rob jumped in there. So back to you. I forgot what I was saying.
Let's get to Mario Barrios now.
Oh fuck, we haven't even talked about that shit yet.
That's really all I got. And then after that, Barrios, I mean, I could go on for a while, but that's the only other. So the performance, like, you haven't really given him credit for coming back and scoring the knockdown when he needed to ice the fight, right? Like, he needed that knockdown to remove all doubt.
Well, I did it on last night's show for sure.
All right.
I mean,
last night's show with a real bad taste in my mouth.
I mean, I specified numerous times like he needed that knockdown to win it, and he did. Credit to him. I may not have specified that on. I will give you this. I may not have specified that on this show, and I didn't make that one individual point. That still doesn't refute my overall point about Mario Barrios. But yeah, credit to him for knowing that he needs a knockdown, and he got the knockdown.
And Rob, you want to give him credit for coming back and rallying to get that knockout when his face was swollen shut and he was purely exhausted? You want to give him credit for that?
Yeah, no. Like I say, he needed it and he got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dug down deep. You see, and you saw Spence who needed a knockdown late in the fight too. You saw them both get those knockouts. It's showing that Texas fighters we're cut from a different cloth. We got that extra gear. That.
Yeah, the first one didn't count though. That's stupid.
Dude, hold on. Hey, hold on. Gary, hold on. You know you're talking about two clear betting odd favorites that struggled mightily in fights where they were not supposed to struggle in?
Do you know, I saw a tweet today. Even slowed down. Did Sean Porter's glove actually touch the canvas? I don't think that it did.
Was it really a conspiracy video out there? Oh my God, I love those.
If you go back, at first I didn't think it did either. But if you go back, it did. It absolutely did.
Yeah.
Live speed didn't look like it did, but if you go back and watch it, it definitely did. The ref got it right.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. There's something special. There's that little extra will, that little extra dog in Texas fighters that you don't get anywhere else, especially out where Rob is, where people are more worried about tea time or whatever.
Fuck you and fuck boxing, brother.
It's a bit harsh, Gary. We're a tiny little nation. We can fit about 20 fucking UKs in Texas, and we're doing all right.
There's more people in. How many people in the UK? 60 million?
64,
like
65.
Texas. How many? Do you know the number of that? I was just guessing.
It's about 60. Yeah.
Dude, like when I like have to compare like UK and like US numbers all the time, I definitely know like vague population numbers. Absolutely.
It's good. I was on far. I was in the ballpark when I said 60 million.
That was pretty. That was pretty good. Like 64 last time I checked. I think.
Yeah.
That's a big ballpark.
Yeah. Okay.
That's such a dad joke.
It's true. It's pretty big ballpark. But it wasn't totally off, right?
You probably.
20 million.
Hey, I've been tuning out, Gary. Are we still talking about Mario Barrios? What are you talking about?
Nah, he knows deep down I'm right.
I have no idea. So. He reminded me of something. After Paul Williams beat Antonio Margarito, he took his first defense against a guy named Carlos Quintana.
Mm-hmm.
Slick lefty, not particularly good. And Quintana beat him. In the rematch, they fought like 6 months later. Paul Williams went out and blew him out in the first round. Like that's kind of what I saw with Barrios, where he didn't fight well. He didn't. I think he was expecting something different. Because if you go back and watch Barrios, he was jabbing a lot and not throwing enough lead right hand. For someone a shorter, slick southpaw like that, you need to throw a lot more lead right hand. And Barrios didn't really throw that many. So I think the game plan wasn't there. And then like when I said Barrios was moving too much, like he was backpedaling too much. He should just stay in the center of the ring, use his pivots, work his pivots, because Barrios doesn't operate going backwards. Standing stationary or going forward. So it's like, I don't know. Once Akhmadov figured some things out, like I don't think Barrios had game planned for what he got. Right? So if they went in and did it again, I think the rest of the fight would look like the first 4 rounds.
Sorry to interrupt you, but is Barrios still trained by his dad? I wasn't noticing the corner.
No. Barrios is trained by Virgil Hunter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's something there. I don't think that there's a right fit for him. And I'll be honest, I've never been that high on Virgil Hunter as a trainer. I would recommend Barrios switches camps because the issues you're talking about that he had in this fight aren't ones that only came up in this fight. The tendencies and patterns he has and the flaws in his game are ones that have been patterns and flaws in his game for a very long time.
Who would you send him to?
Someone said Robert Garcia. I don't mind that. I like Ronnie Shields.
For everyone. That's like Greg Popovich. Yeah.
I know. I like Ronnie Shields a lot. I've always been a big Ronnie Shields advocate. I think you can do a lot of wonders with him.
Joe Gallagher.
Dave Caldwell. I think he'd be because he needs someone to add some defensive variety to his game. Eddie Reneso, I know is another one of those like Greg Popovich right now. Like everyone's going to Eddie Reneso because of how good Canelo's looking. Yeah. But like somebody like that. Who else? I'm trying to think of some other names for you. Buddy McGirt. I like Buddy.
Manny Robles.
Buddy McGirt would be good.
No, Manny would be bad. Manny would be bad for him.
When you're Barrios, and he was trained by a guy named Rick Nunez his whole career from the amateurs up, and about 2 years ago, he said it's time. Like this is as far as I can take you. Go with Virgil Hunter. So like his career was entrusted in the hands of Virgil Hunter, and now like leave. But I think you're right. Like I think you have to say, like, look, this isn't working that well, right? Like, I mean, no disrespect to Virgil Hunter, but there are still wrinkles that haven't been ironed out yet. Like he's 25 anymore. He's not 22. Like he's not a kid anymore.
And not only that, he's not like 25 right? With like 10 fights. He's 25 years old with 25 fights.
With 25 fights. Yeah.
He has more fights than David Benavidez, for example. He has more fights than the world champion right now. Numerous world champions right now. Like, there's issues. Like, why is he not developing? It's because of his trainer.
I kind of tend... And I don't want to say not developing is right. I mean, his fundamentals are really good. Like,
yeah, but he always had good fundamentals. He always had that.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, like, coming up, he was taught the right way to fight, and it's just he hasn't really gotten better, right? Like, he's just gotten older.
I'll be honest. Because remember, I've followed Barrios from way back in the day, right? On Name Redacted, because he used to come on the show all the time, and we had a plug with him. He's a guy, to me, that he hasn't improved technically at all. What he's improved in is being a better athlete. He's a far better athlete than he was, I should say, 2 years ago. But his technique hasn't improved at all in that time.
I tend to agree with most of that. And when Barrio came up, he came up as a 22 and a 26-pounder. I mean, he was real lanky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's lanky now at 140. He came up, he looked like Maurice Hooker, but a couple inches shorter. Like he looked,
or like Leo. He looked like a Leo Santa Cruz for a time.
Yeah,
too.
like Leo. Yeah. I still think there's a lot of good things there, but you're right. I think it's probably time to explore other options.
Yeah. And that happens, a lot of guys, when they go from fighting regional level opponents to fighting, let's say, credentialed prospects like a Akhmedov, and then fighting top 15 competition, then top 10, top 5 world champions, those are all gigantic leaps in competition difficulty. And a lot of fighters have to make adjustments in camps, have to change up camps when they make those leaps, because the current situation you're in cannot really train you and adjust you to that leap in competitive level. And that's just a reality. And I know like a lot of people are like don't like talking about it because like the whole like fighters need to be loyal to coaches and vice versa. But hey, this is business. You need to improve yourself as your brand, as an independent contractor. That's what you are as a fighter. So go and prove yourself. If it's not in this location, go somewhere else.
Then the last thing I wanted to ask both of you was like, if you were playing matchmaker, if you were playing PBC, I said I wanted Postal. Who would you have? And if he changed his trainers, then I would say let's take an easier fight than that as your first fight with a new trainer. But who would you match him with? Who would you say this is a good test, a good barometer for Barrios in his next fight?
A rematch for me. I want to see it
I wouldn't
again.
go back and rematch him. I would fight anybody else.
Names that I would like to see, but I don't know if they're possible from just a pure like promotional network standpoint, but just names I would like to see. Julius Ndongo, Cletus Selden, Alex Acedo, Chris Algieri. That barometer of an opponent.
Okay.
I would like to see that personally. If he jumps up to guys like Flanagan, Raylick, Pedraza, Hooker, Cano, Zepeda, like those are tough outs for him. Like he needs to fight these potential guys that had maybe belts in the past, but are shot like an Algieri.
Algieri, Ray Beltran. Did he retire?
I don't know what Ray Beltran's doing right now, to be honest.
That would be a good guy who would test you, who you should be able to look good against. Like same thing, like he should light up Cletus Selden, right? I mean, he should be able to sit there and work out some wrinkles and beat up on Cletus
But
Selden.
Selden's one of those guys that his pressure, his awkwardness might give Barrios issues if he doesn't develop still.
Yeah. For sure. I actually like that fight. I mean, I like it for Barrios. Have him deal with another short guy who comes forward. And because you're right, if Barrios goes backwards against Cletus Selden, that guy, if he can do anything, he can crack. He's athletic, he can crack. Like, that could be trouble, right? So it's one of those things where Barrios would have to fight his fight to make it an easy night. So I think that would be an interesting fight. I think the Algieri fight could be trouble, kind of like it was for Khan. I know a lot of people think Algieri beat Khan because it's just like Algieri can fight going backwards and coming forward.
Yeah.
Khan and Barrios kind of can't, right? They can only kind of fight coming forward or stationary.
But sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but to the conversation we had last night, Algieri doesn't have power, so that's why it's an approachable fight for him.
Troyanovsky.
But if you're going to get
I mentioned that one last night.
Jabs with Algieri,
I did.
That could be trouble. You know
Stay
what I'm saying? If you're just trying to
away
out-jab
from
Algieri,
Ritson, Gary. Stay away from Ritson.
I'd like to see that fight. That'd be a good fight.
That would be a good fight.
I mean, they wouldn't put Ritson in that. Yeah, let's do that fight. I like Louis Ritson. You say that like I don't like Louis Ritson. I was a big Louis Ritson fan before he got knocked out. I still like him. I hope he's the best.
You can enjoy him fighting Robbie Davis Jr. Next month, I think it is.
There was that fight. Wait, who did he fight? Barrett? Who did he fight in like kind of his breakout fight maybe like 2 years ago?
It wasn't 2 years ago.
Who? Ritson?
Was it more than that? 3 years?
No, it was like a year ago.
Yeah, Ritson.
He was just at domestic level. He cleaned up the he beat Scott Cardle, Paul Hyland Jr.
Before that.
Paul Hyland, probably.
Before
Joe Murray, Robbie Barrett.
Robert Barrett, yeah. That was the one. And Barrett had just come off a good win after he had beaten someone and then Richardson blew him out.
Yeah, he just beat
Cleveland Belton or Lewis Richardson is who I'd like to see him fight next. I like that.
He loses both fights.
That's all I got.
Thanks for the call, Gary.
Proud of you, man. So proud of you. That's good.
That was good, right? That was a good exit. I like that. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for today's show. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Rob?
Yeah, you can find me Instagram and Twitter, UKRobMCR. And
fuck you and fuck boxing, brother.
That's my new Adrian Broner soundbite.
The only person that says that.
He's retired. That's it. He's retired. So we was trying to tell Radio Raheem. And as always, he said, "No, what are you going to do then?" He said, "Sell bricks, man. Sell bricks." So yeah, I expect to see him at your local building supplies.
That's not what he means by selling bricks, but
I know, Matthew.
I'm not saying what it is, but anyways.
But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Great main event, and decent card. I think it was a decent card, but the main event. Shout out to Sean Porter. Shout out to Errol Spence. They delivered on what people felt was going to not do particularly well numbers-wise, but I truly hope it's done amazing numbers because a lot of people deserve to see that fight. So shout out to both guys. It was a real great fight. The ebb and flow, just when you thought, oh, Errol's looking at Porter would fire back or vice versa, and it was just real toe-to-toe stuff. And I really enjoyed it. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.